Welcome everyone. I think I'm live. Let me know if I'm live. And my audio should be working. This is the Learning About Movies live stream for August 2021. I'm your guide, Professor Matthews, and we'll talk about what's on streaming services, what you could watch, as we normally do. There's my wife trying to call me. Maybe I should answer the phone while tell her she's live to the world and recorded for all history. All right, so I've been working hard at learning myself, going through a lot of older movies, and Criterion Collection's recent, in the summer of 2021, Neo-Noir Collection has really piqued my interest because I like those movies, but I haven't had access to what they have in that collection. So we're going to take a look at their Neo-Noir Collection real quickly before I get into what's streaming on their channel and other places. And so let me get my handy dandy window up here. Let's see. There we go. So yeah, welcome to everybody. Hello on the chat. Oh yeah, and as usual, follow me on Twitter, on Letterboxd, and look at the chat room because always there's always recommendations in the chat room that are really good. Let me pull this up. This is the Neo-Noir Collection from Criterion. And what does Neo-Noir mean? What does Neo mean? I mean, I don't love that, prefix. It means new, obviously, in English. It's just noir in the 80s, from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Different versions of noir, different directors' takes on it. And, of course, the directors who made noir at this point, they have 40 years almost of noir, plus longer if you count the novels and all the fiction that's in the crime, detective, and noir genre. So these are people who grew up with it and could access a lot of older fare versus those directors in the 40s who are kind of just making it happen. Yeah, so let me go back. Oh, that's me. Let me go back here. There are a lot of good movies here. I noticed that Chinatown was going off the channel. So if you haven't seen that, obviously it's a classic that people love. That doesn't mean you need to love it, but since it's on all these lists, it's good to be familiar with it, given that it's so famous and referenced so much. Night Moves is really interesting. That, to me, is an anti-noir. You got Gene Hackman starring as a detective who's going around trying to find, I think he's trying to find a young lost girl. Typical kind of story, but here the detective is messed up, screwed over, can't figure things out. And then you have to see the ending to see why I say it's anti-noir. But it's trying to do the things that are opposite, usually, of these detective sort of crime movies, where a detective plays a clue seeker who figures things out, and sort of a hero, or would-be hero at least. So that, I didn't love that movie, but I find it's very interesting to think about from a screenplay and a directorial perspective. You've got then like Robert Altman's Long Goodbye, Farewell My Lovely here with Robert Mitchum. There's another one, The Big Sleep. These are Raymond Chandler novels made into films. So if you like these, you should read Raymond Chandler. He's very fun to read. Great first-person narrator. But these movies, two Robert Mitchum movies, he's pretty old in these roles, I think. Probably a little too old. But there you go. Let me go back over the live stream real quickly. Let me see if I've got everybody here who needs to be here. Okay, you got a few. Yeah, I got a few people here finally. That's great. Welcome to all of you who are here. Let me bring my window back. Yeah, so those. Then you got the Cassavetes movie. I actually haven't seen that one. The Wim Wenders' American Friend. So already in the top 6 or 7 movies here. There's so much to see. I even looked at this one. Irvin Kershner, who directed, as you know, what movie did he direct? Anybody? The Empire Strikes Back. So I think this is the movie before he directed Empire Strikes Back, or one of the, very close to it at least. So a lot of these, once you get into them, if you're put off by too much sex in movies or sex scenes that are unnecessary, neo-noir may not be for you, and I have trouble with that personally myself. But Body Heat, I kind of like that movie. It's quite well done. Blood Simple by the Coen Brothers. People love that. I don't love it, but first Coen Brothers movie. Then you've got the Brian De Palma movies. Now, I just watched these and I was really blown away by his visual style. I've seen a couple of his movies, but Not these. Blowout, really well done. Didn't love the story if you read my letterbox little notes on it, but that's definitely worth seeking out. For those of you who like Blow Up by Antonioni, The Conversation by Coppola with Gene Hackman, the Blowout is definitely riffing on those and taking it perhaps to another level or a different level. The movie I really loved is Body Double. I don't know if you've seen this movie. There's so much material in there. I feel like I could write a scholarly essay on it. And whenever a movie does that to me, I know that sounds a little nerdy or too academic to some of you, it really has done a number on me. And there's so many different ways to look at Body Double. So I recommend it, but be careful. There's stuff in it that some of you may not want to see. I tried to watch Cutter's Way, didn't love it. And Trouble in Mind is the same. Homicide is written by Mamet, and I didn't love The Last Seduction, but all of these you are worth seeking out and trying to see what's going on in them. Especially if you love noir, because I find it to be a genre that treats me as an adult. A movie, it's not an adult movie as in terms of pornography, although maybe a little bit usually, but adult movie in terms of mature themes. And people in it are in their middle age, and they're dealing with middle age problems. So that's me, and that's one reason I love this stuff. Very, very fun. All right. So next up, I went to see The Green Knight, and check out my video on that if you haven't. I don't know what to say about it, but I still like the poem a ton, and they struggle with the movie. So there's that. I even brought with me my medieval historian friend who he liked it because he didn't like it. And I'm not sure that makes sense. But anyway, so I had him there to tell me what was realistic. But you've got a number of great or interesting movies coming out in the next 6 months. All the movies delayed from the coronavirus pandemic are coming out. I am intrigued by Free Guy. I know you may not be, but a video game movie with the premise of an NPC becoming the main character. Nothing else about this movie appeals to me but the premise. So I probably will go see that. People have asked me about Suicide Squad. I just am out on the Marvel movies. I haven't seen enough of them to even be competent. And at this point, it's as if you need to have seen 10 or 12 of them to catch all the references. I think, maybe not, but... Reminiscence, a science fiction movie. I saw the trailer. It looked... Who knows? Probably okay. The interesting one is Val. By A24 Studios. Many of you know them. They did The Green Knight, obviously. And Val Kilmer was a movie star when I was a kid. I remember going to see his movies. I remember going to see The Saint in the movie theater. But when he made Tombstone, or was Doc Holliday in Tombstone, everyone loved that in high school. I think I was in high school at that point, and then in college, and his performance in that was just one of the most memorable performances for young people in the 1990s. Would it be as cool today? I have no clue. You're gonna have to let me know. But this apparently took home videos of himself throughout his childhood and adulthood, and as a movie star on the sets, and thus, they've put this documentary together that may be a vanity project or it may be amazing art. I mean, it has a very low ceiling, or very low floor, but a high ceiling, if you know what I mean. Could be really terrible, could be really great, and anything in between. That's on Amazon. I know a number of you have Prime. So that's of great interest. I probably will watch that. Yeah, then you got September doesn't look great, but then October has James Bond and Dune and other things. So we'll see. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe movies will make a comeback, or maybe they'll die off as a number of people are predicting. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Let me go back into the chat real quickly. Let's see what you're up to. All right, got a number of people here. Welcome. I will read the chat in just a minute. I see people saying one person says Body Double is amazing. It is amazing. Brian De Palma has, to me, the most complex visual imagination since Orson Welles, maybe Godard. There's a few of them that are up there for me, but I'm realizing watching his other movies, sound-wise, story-wise, acting-wise, all those things can be troubling in his movies, are not very good. But his visual imagination is excellent in video movie those of you who make videos, filmmakers, future filmmakers should watch his stuff. I'm just really impressed by it all that I've seen so far. I'm going to rewatch Untouchables probably this week. I haven't seen that in probably 20 years. So anyway, let's go back to what I wanted to show you. The Criterion Channel has so much stuff on it. I promote them. I don't get sponsored by them. Maybe they'll sponsor me one day, but it's so good as compared to the other streaming services that I have subscribed to and now dropped. So the other day, my kids and I watched A Town Called Panic. We have seen that before. Crazy French movie, inspired by Looney Tunes, but has, I guess, a French sensibility. It's really a series of short films sort of mashed together. Unique animation figurines. My kids loved that movie. Really liked it, but my 7-year-old went nuts during it. Even though he's having a hard time reading the subtitles, which go by very quickly. I really like this movie, even though it makes me crazy. It's a little too manic, but it's manic before its time. Nowadays, kids' movies are all manic. Crazy stuff flying around the screen for 90 minutes. Watch any Lego movie and you'll know what I mean. A Town Called Panic did that, although there are quieter moments very briefly in this movie. So it's worth watching. Even if you're older, it's worth watching. Trust me on this, especially for those of you who are making movies, video makers. So there's that. I always look at what's leaving the channel because that sort of narrows down, for me, as I always say on these live streams, it narrows down choices. There are a trillion movies and TV shows now online. So how do you narrow these down? Well, you look at what's leaving the channels or what you're subscribing to. And so this month, what's leaving Criterion Channel, as usual, there's about 10 selections I would recommend. And there's a lot more here I haven't seen. So let's just go through these real quickly and see what you see. There is a Hitchcock movie I have never seen. It was remade recently, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Is that the one with Brad Pitt and Jolie? I forget. I think it is. I think that's where the Brangelina thing started. But yeah, Hitchcock made that, and I have not seen it. Screwball comedy. So there you go. Chinatown's leaving. I already mentioned that. Body Heat's leaving. Key Largo by John Huston is pretty good. Some of you might really love it, but it's pretty good. 12 Angry Men is a classic that, again, for movie history lovers, in terms of influence, should be watched. It is in the top, 30 on IMDb. To me, it's a wonderful fantasy. I don't think maybe one time in the history of the world is what happens in this movie happens, but total immoral tale there. Ryan Johnson's first movie, I think, feature film is there. I have not seen that. Oh my goodness, Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm. Well, I'm going to add that to my list. Maybe my daughter will like to watch that. We'll see. Shirley Temple. The Oxbow Incident is a very good novel. Walter Van Tilburg Clark. Morality play about mobs, lynch mobs versus... It's like 12 Angry Men, and it's individuals versus the masses. Individuals versus the stupid. Smart individuals versus the stupid or insane rabble. Very common theme device from the 19-teens onward. You see it in philosophy a lot even before that. But the Oxbow Incident's pretty good. Henry Fonda, not my favorite actor, but you might try it, those of you who like Westerns. And it's made during, I always love these World War II era movies made during that. I'm scrolling down. If any of you see anything here that's good, let me know. Now let me pause right now. The Class is definitely worth watching. If you were a teacher, you want to watch The Class. This is a French movie. It may have gotten awards like the Cannes Film Festival. 2008, it's very realistic in that the classroom is not a pleasant place to be. The teachers are all burned out. It features a teacher, I think he's teaching 5th or 6th grade in France. Most of the kids are immigrant. I think they're immigrant kids, but there's some native French students there. So he's got this mix of kids that he's got to deal with all of their personal problems. And it's really well done. As I said, realistic, but I would, on the scale of fantastic, let's do this. Let's see if I can do this. Fantastic to realistic, it's much closer to my hand over here than it is over here. I mean, it's not in the middle like, most movies are. So this is one that I have on my list to do for a forgotten classic at some point. And I think if you're familiar with the educational system anywhere, you will appreciate this movie. I'm not saying it's perfectly portraying things. It may be a little idealistic at times, but I really like this movie. I watched it, and I was pretty happy with it, because most teacher movies are too fantastical. I mean, the greater fantasies than Lord of the Rings. I mean, orcs are more realistic than what happens in most teacher movies. So that's one reason to like this movie, is it's not quite in that realm. And then My Man Godfrey needs to be watched. Anybody should watch this. It's fun. It's funny. It's got all the wonderful class divisions from the 1930s that show up in this era of film during the Great Depression and even afterwards. And I've done a video on that, so check it out. But the class and My Man Godfrey are two I'd highly recommend. And now I'm going through this. I say there's a William Friedkin movie here. I've never seen this. All right, I'll add that to my list. I'll add this Fritz Lang movie. And it just goes on and on. There's no way I will get to all of these. It just goes on down. And they've got Charlie Chaplin shorts on here. They got George Méliès shorts. And that, there you go. So if any of you have seen any of these, chat room, let us know what you think. So I gave you a bunch of recommendations, right? I gave you The Class and My Man Godfrey and Body Double. That should keep most of you happy for the next month or so. I mean, those three movies I really appreciate. And if you follow me, you probably disagree with me half the time. That's typical for people reading critics. If you disagree with me 90% of the time, you probably should just leave, unless you're entertained by me. but 50% is a pretty good ratio, I find. If I disagree with someone 50% of the time, usually then I'll know, I'll be able to read them when I will like the movie they dislike, when I will dislike the movie they like, which is really handy. Roger Ebert was always my go-to for that, and it still pains me that he's dead. So anyway, there you go. Wonderful. Hopefully that's helpful to you all. Oops. Let me turn that on. Okay, let me go to the chat room. Sorry, I got my webcam on today. I had to rush over here and figure out how to... I had personal things going on. I'm reading the chat. Yes. So in the chat, we see the Neo-Noir coming up here, as I mentioned. What people liked. Long Goodbye, American Friend, which is a lot slower, if I remember it correctly. But Wim Wenders, always worth watching. Even I dislike him about half the time, but always worth watching. Living in the UK sucks, watching American people getting movies first. Now, I wonder, those of you who are abroad, when I always mention the Criterion Channel, can you get it? You can use a VPN, but personally I've never used one to stream movies or to sign up for movie services. So I'm assuming you guys can do it, but I don't know, and I don't even know if that's illegal in certain places. So VPN is the way to go. Or YouTube usually has some of these classic movies. I don't even want to say to rent, but to watch for free sometimes, especially if they're the older movies. So yeah, do we always get movies first? I feel like sometimes, or these days, Hollywood is releasing movies in Europe or in Asia first, but I can't remember which ones. I've seen it before recently, but I can't remember which ones. So yeah. Looking in the chat. Yeah, The Immigrant for Chaplin. So those of you who are video makers, I have to strongly recommend, you gotta watch these older things. All the silent movies you can find, because they will teach you how to show rather than tell. Show through visual rather than, on visuals only, because there's no audio. And because they were constrained in that way, they can only show visuals. They had intertitles, and then they had a score on top of them. You know, the silent movies have had to work hard to create visual grammar and to use it efficiently. And so Chaplin as a director is one of those people, and whether you love or hate his movies... Oh, we got a spammer. Let's see if I can get rid of him. There we go. Yeah, hi Jerome. Do I have Mubi? You know, I don't. What is Mubi? What does it give you to use Mubi? M-U-B-I. I do not know. I haven't needed to use anything beyond the basics. So I'm going to type in Mubi and see. Is Mubi going to be, one, expensive, two, does it have enough stuff on it? It says I can try it 7 days for free. So if anybody works for Mubi or is out there, hook me up with a free something and I'll review your streaming service here on the channel. Because I'm happy to look at what else is out there. You know, for a long time, Criterion Channel, or whatever it was before it, was the only place you could have a whole bunch of movies. These days, HBO Max has some, sort of a broad range of films. And I think Amazon Prime, you got to search for stuff. They just bury it, and they have a terrible user interface, in my opinion, in order to find movies. Yeah, I'll have to check out Mubi. Thank you for that recommendation. I've seen it, but I haven't looked at it very hard. So yeah, that's a good... You know, several people are saying it's a good service. At least a couple people. Does Criterion Channel include the supplements? What supplements? The supplements to the discs. Is that what you mean? Occasionally they do, but I believe they have to have it as a collection. Say they put up a Chaplin collection, then they'll put a couple of supplements on, but usually not. I mean, they're definitely not trying to... they want you to buy the discs, so they're not going to duplicate, if I remember correctly. So yeah, check it out. Good questions here today, and they're about other things. Opinion on Ebert. So Ebert is a great writer in the English language. If you hate his opinions, you should still study the way he put together his reviews, because he was easily one of the 2 or 3 best reviewers, bridging popular audiences, Hollywood itself, and to a small degree, academics or film historians. So being able to write with a lot of knowledge, but to appeal to all of those audiences is nearly impossible. But he pulled it off and made a lot of money from it. And of course he pioneered with Gene Siskel what I'm doing right now and what everybody on YouTube is doing. You know, the review movie discussion format, which he basically invented. I mean, at least as a personality. So in those 2 ways, Ebert is worth pursuing. I am not a big fan of his sort of great movie books because they don't go as in-depth as I would like. And to me, I find that to go in-depth, video is way better than books, unless you're going to put the images or stills in the books. But even then, books do not have audio. So I like now what we're doing on YouTube. I'm doing my little thing here, but everybody else is doing great stuff as well. And so I think it's real helpful to have video and sound to be able to comment on movies. So Ebert was a pioneer in the sense for us, but his command of the English language and his sort of breadth of knowledge of movies really makes him potent. Those of you who want recommendations and sort of appreciate his sort of taste, definitely dive into him. I pretty much read everything he's done. And I should probably do a couple videos on him at some point. Do I watch any film review YouTube channels? Now, this is really interesting to me. I did, but then I stopped. Part of that is time. part of that is I just don't want anyone else's opinion or views seeping into what I'm doing. Obviously, Chris Stuckman, everyone knows him. I probably stole a couple of things from him, but he is definitely in the gamer world, whereas I'm in the academic world, and I hope we're quite a bit different or somewhat different. But obviously, he's the top or one of the top on YouTube, and I would recommend looking at him in contrast to me, right? Because I have two different. I'm stuck in the world of books, the world of history, and I play video games occasionally, but I don't have a lot of time because I have kids and other stuff. He's definitely playing games. He's watching horror movies. He's doing the pop culture analysis. So somebody like that is definitely a good balance with somebody like me. And so if I'm a viewer, I'd get different points of view. But I actually watch, other kinds of things. Rick Beato. I like music channels a lot better. Not that nothing wrong with film review channels. It's just I like to go to other places and learn other things that way. But if you guys have a good film review channel, I don't mind you posting it here. Doesn't bother me. And I've linked to a few other channels on my YouTube page. I can't remember what. I'll bring it up. I'm forgetting the channels names right now because I haven't surfed them in a long time. But on my channel, I've recommended stuff. I probably won't find it that quickly. There are these ladies, two ladies, who are doing amazing, at least visual work. And everyone else's channel, I thought, if I learned the software, I could do what they're doing. Whatever these two ladies are, I can't remember the name of their channel. I'll find it. Whatever they're doing, I thought there's no way I could ever do what they're doing. They do a lot of stuff on movie tropes. I'm not finding their page right now, but if I ever, when I see them, I'll come up with them. Yeah, people are looking at bringing up deep focus lens. Do I have Bergman videos? Yeah, I do. In fact, what do I still have coming out? I can let you know, but I did finish them on my end. I have Autumn Sonata coming out, Brink of Life, Virgin Spring, and my top 10 Bergman films and Fanny and Alexander. I think some commenter said, boy, all you do is Bergman. It's like, well, I went through the whole thing and all of his filmography, and I decided to make a bunch of videos on them. So by the time it's all done, there's probably going to be 12 Bergman videos, and then I could probably do more. But yeah, there are more coming, 5 at least. Daisuke Beppu? I don't think I knew who that is. I'm not a YouTuber in the sense that I don't go around and look at stuff. So you guys know more than I do. Let me look this person up. Oh, he's got about the same amount of subscribers as I do. He's doing interviews. That's great. So yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. He's doing Criterion discussions, and he just did one on human condition. Yeah. So I'll give this guy a shout out. I've never watched his stuff. He may be great. He may be an idiot. I have no idea. But since you guys are mentioning him, there you go. Every Frame of Painting was the channel that several years ago I'd heard about. I looked at it and I went, oh wow, that's great. And there are a bunch of channels like that where they got big. They have millions of views per video, and then they quit. And I couldn't figure out why they quit. And they tended to write these humongous 5-page goodbye letters about why they quit. And I never figured out, one, why they quit, is they're making money. Maybe a lot of money, I don't know. But 1 million views gets you about $2,500. Which is not much, but it's enough to, have a side hobby or a side hustle, a big side hustle. That's a big side hustle. And it's just, views keep rolling in. Maybe it was too challenging for them to make their videos. Maybe it just took a long time. Because I can tell you, when I do stuff, I'm always looking for shortcuts. and time is hard to come by. So every frame of painting, discarded images. Yeah, I'm looking at this commenter with several. Yeah. Bergman is good to go through for all of you, even if you hate him or dislike most of his films, because he's still wildly influential, especially I find for European cinema. But even when I went to go see The Green Knight, Bergman is all over that movie, directly or indirectly. I don't know if David Lowery, the director, has watched one Bergman movie. He might have watched them all. But he has picked up on what Bergman loved to do. One is study faces and put the faces massively on the screen on all the time. Alicia Vikander, if she were in the 1960s, she would have been in every Bergman movie, right? One, she's Scandinavian. Two, that's the kind of person Bergman loved. In fact, she may be too overpowering for Bergman, I'm not sure, but Bibi Andersson, Liv Ullmann, those actresses that Bergman loved to use, they're in all of his movies, or a lot of them at least. So Bergman, still after dying 20 years ago, or whenever he died, 15 years ago, movie makers are still quoting him directly or indirectly. Noah Baumbach. Who are the guys that did Uncut Gems? I always forget their names. Those guys, a bunch of them are. Ari Aster, I mentioned him, are definitely, yeah. Bergman didn't like Antonioni's movies, yeah. It's so funny. That sounds like a competition to me. All right, MRRRL. I forget. I think I know who you are. Yeah, Safety Brothers. Do you recommend Patreon? I don't know. I've never used it. I've been a little leery about them for various reasons. I don't like corporations that shut people down. I found, didn't they do that? But yeah, maybe I should set up a Patreon. I like money, so yeah. But yeah, watch all of Bergman. All of you are saying Bergman box set, so yeah. Other things, the channel is growing little by little. I would like to do more different kinds of content, but so far I've been limited by the time I've had. If this, I know what I want to look at real quickly. Hang with me for just a second. Let's see if I can find it. Maybe not, but the art house animation collection on Criterion is quite good as well. I haven't watched the more recent ones, but all of the older movies in the art house animation collection, especially if you have kids, artistically inclined kids, this is great stuff. Let me pull it up here. There we go. There you get a full window there. I love this stuff. I want to go watch these Hungarian movies, which I have not seen, by, I hate pronouncing things because people always get on me, but Jankovics. Zeman is a Czech filmmaker. Wonderful box set from Criterion. I mentioned Fantastic Planet. This must be watched if you like science fiction. Watership Down, pretty good. Plague Dogs, the saddest animated film ever. Not for kids. Man, if you put your kids through Plague Dogs, they will need to go to some kind of therapy. It is absolutely brutal movie, but really interesting. And Plague Dogs, Children of Men. Have you seen Children of Men? Plague Dogs is the inspiration, I believe, for Children of Men. There's a whole article to be written on that, or scholarly article or something on that one. So there you go. And they don't have any Miyazaki because I think Disney owns the rights. Otherwise, they would probably put Miyazaki on here and get a lot more hits for their channel. All right. So the one Miyazaki I haven't watched is his very first one. I've been looking for that, but can't find it. Can't find it cheap. I can go buy it or rent it. Yeah. Well, anyway, great job today. Thank you for all the stuff in the chat room. You guys are great movie viewers. The Safdie brothers made Uncut Gems. I want to rewatch that one and see if I want to do a video on it. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure if that movie is too simple or if it's more interesting on the second watch. So there's that. Yeah, Miyazaki, HBO owns the Miyazaki rights. They do. So if you subscribe to HBO Max, I found that they didn't have a great a great kids and family section, but they did have all of the Miyazaki movies. So you can watch those in a month and enjoy them. I love Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind. Yeah, I should do a video on that. And Castle in the Sky. But Nausicaa is quite good. All right, that's enough for today. Have fun. Enjoy the movies. I am going to be doing more reviews. I'm going to go to Stillwater, the Matt Damon movie, in about 2 hours. I will do a review on that, although it probably will be posted near the end of the week. By that point, no one will care because it's been out in the movie theater for a week, but you all might. And I have special insight because I am a Midwesterner. I have worked in an oil field. I like Europe. So all those things seem to be in the movie. I live in MAGA country, M-A-G-A. I know all about it. So this movie, Stillwater, seems like it's for me. We'll see if I hate it or not. I may have a different opinion than the massive critics. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Thank you, everybody. You guys are great. Really appreciate all the comments. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.